So we're in the last parasha of Bereshit. We're about to close the book. So let's see what we learn from this parasha. It says Bereshit Noach. What's the sequence of events? Bereshit Noach. Bereshit, we all know, means in the beginning. What does Noach mean? Noach actually means comfort, right? If you speak Hebrew, Noach means comfort. In the beginning of a person's life, he's completely comfortable. He's got a mommy to take care of him. He's got as soon as he makes any type of little cry, she'll come, she'll change the diaper, she'll nurse him, she'll pick him up, she will waddle him. She will do everything for this little child to be calm and be happy. The first years of life is Noach. It's complete and utter comfort. There's nothing the child is missing, because if he's got his mommy, he's got the entire world on his fingertips, and whatever the child wants, he'll pretty much get. But then comes Lech Lecha. Lech Lecha, the child grows a little bit older, and he begins to leave the house partially. He goes to school, he's with friends. There's that element of Lech Lecha. And Vayera, he begins to see the world. He begins to see what it's all about. Afterwards comes Chayesara. Chayesara is all about the marriage. A person gets older, he gets married, he's beginning a life. And then, what happens after you get married? What's the next parsha that comes along? The next parsha that comes along is Toldot. Toldot is you begin to have children. And when you begin to have children, then comes, gentlemen, Vayechi. You got to go out and you got to go to work. You got to support this family. You got to support these children. And it's hard work. Right? With the sweat of your brow, you will eat bread. That's Vayechi. And what comes after Vayechi? Vayishlach. Vayishlach is referring to sending the person out, which means to say that after we have our children, what do? We send them away, which means to say they get married, they start their own family. That's Vayishlach. And afterwards, Vayeshev. After you sent your children away, you married them off. Now you could be Vayeshev, you could relax. I married off my children. I'm ready to now enjoy life. They're on their own. I gave him a good upbringing. Now Vayeshev, he begins to relax. What happens after Vayeshev is Miketz. You know what Miketz means? Miketz means the end. Now a person begins to contemplate about his end. I'm going to see my Maker soon. What do I got to do? Now reality sets in. That's it. The party's going to be over sooner or later. So what happens then? Vayigash. Vayigash means he begins to attend to his affairs, and he begins to make sure to close any loose ends. Anything that he has not accomplished, anything that he has perhaps left loose, he's going to see his Maker soon. Anything that he has to do tshuva on, now's the time. That's it. And after that is Vayechi. What does Vayechi mean? Vayechi means the eternal life, which means to say what he prepared in this world, now he's going to have for eternity. He's going to live with that forever and ever. And this week's parsha deals mainly of how do we get to that life that is going to be an everlasting life. Right here we hear 70, 80, 90 years, but I guarantee you, not too many of you have met a 100-year-old. When is the last time that any of you have shaken a man's hand that's 100 years old? You don't remember. Even 95 is already questionable. 90 maybe, right? But that's it. So we're here for a short time. Then Vayechi. Vayechi is we live forever and ever. Our neshama lives forever and ever. And that's what we're going to speak about today. Today we're going to speak about how to gain our eternal life. Eternity. We know that the Torah tells us in this week's Parshat something very powerful. Torah tells us about Yisachar and Zevulun. Yisachar and Zevulun had a partnership. One would support and one would sit and learn. One would support and one would sit and learn. And it's interesting, you look at the learners today and you ask yourself, how in the world do these people survive? It doesn't make sense. You can't add it up. It makes no logical sense. And in fact, if you scan all of the parashiyot of the Torah, this is the only parasha which is called the parasha stuma. What does parasha stuma mean? Meaning to say every parasha has a space of 9 letters before it begins. You look at the Torah, you see a space of 9 letters, or it begins in another line. But this week's parasha is the only parasha that goes straight from Vayigash to Vayechi without a single space. It's called stuma. Stuma means closed. Stuma means that you cannot understand what's going on over here. Stuma means that you look at this Talmid Chacham and you say to yourself, wait a second, I earn X amount of dollars, $5,000, $10,000, whatever it may be, yet this Talmid, and I'm barely making it. And this Talmid Chacham is somehow, he's got double the amount of children I do. He's still surviving, still happy, has a beautiful family. What's going on? How does this add up? It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make logical sense. But this is what it means. It's stuma. It's closed. It means to say it's not going to make sense. Because there's another variable over here. Yosef, right at the end of his father's life, he goes and he brings his 2 children. Vayugad leYosef ki hine avicha choleh. It was told to Yosef, your father is sick. And Yosef understands, hey, this may be the last chance. Let me go bring my 2 children. I'm going to go and bring Ephraim and Menashe. And what's the bracha? Becha yevarech Elokim, yesimcha Elokim ki Ephraim v'chi Menashe. Right? This is how we're going to bench Klal Yisrael from now on. They should be like Ephraim and Menashe. Now, why didn't Yosef get a bracha for himself? What happened to Yosef? How come he's out of the deal? We know if a person has good children, he's got everything in life. If a person does not have good children, he can have all the millions. He's a miserable man. He leaves nothing. He doesn't leave anything behind that's going to have some kind of continuation that will make him extremely proud. So it's so important to invest in our children. As much as we can, invest in our children. The obvious question is, here you have Ephraim and Menashe. Why Ephraim and Menashe? What was so special and what was so unique about Ephraim and Menashe that Yaakov picks them? Why not Yisimcha Elokim ki Avram v'Yitzchak? Why not like Reuven v'Shimon? Why Ephraim and Menashe? Or maybe like Yisachar and Zvulun. They got the partnership going. They're keeping Torah. Why Ephraim and Menashe? Ephraim and Menashe, gentlemen, grew up in a place with zero support system. They were in the worst place, in the place where it had so much impurity over there. And yet Ephraim and Menashe are able to grow up as pure children. Yaakov takes a look at Yosef and he says, Yosef, you're incredible. It doesn't make sense how you can produce 2 children like Ephraim and Menashe in Egypt. I can't fathom what you have been able to accomplish over here. It makes absolutely no sense. And being that Yaakov knew that Klal Yisrael would one day go to Galut. He knew that one day they'll go to Galus and they'll have to deal with so much. And he says to himself, what kind of bracha am I going to give Klal Yisrael forever and ever? Who should they use as an example of how to bring up kids? And Yaakov says the perfect example is I'm going to have people in America and in Morocco and in Yemen, and I'm going to have my children spread out all over the place. You know what bracha I'm going to give them? Let them be like Ephraim and Menashe. Let them be like those children that were brought up in a place which was antithetical to Judaism. It wasn't conducive to bringing up good children. And yet, they were brought up as such children that they're going to be like the Shvatim themselves on that level of holiness. Therefore, I want everyone from Klal Yisrael that they're going to bench their children to be like those children. But I want to tell you something powerful about Ephraim and Menashe. We know that Yosef, once Yaakov came down to Mitzrayim, Yosef was never caught alone with his father. Could you imagine? He was never alone with his father. He never allowed himself to be alone with his father. Because Yosef was scared that if he's going to be alone with his father, even one time, his father's going to ask him, Yosef, how in the world did you get down over here? How did you come down to Egypt? What did the brothers do to you? What happened? And you know what Yosef was scared? Yosef was extremely concerned as he loved his brothers. He said, what's going to happen is I'm scared that my father is going to say, you know what? You guys are no longer part of Klal Yisrael. That's it. Klal Yisrael is going to come from Yosef. You guys are dismissed. You did that to my son. You're no longer part of Klal Yisrael. And therefore, he cared that the entire time that his father was there, he would never meet alone with him. So what did he do? Listen to what he did. He took Ephraim and he said, Ephraim, listen to me. You're going to be with Yaakov. You're going to learn with Yaakov. You're going to sit there for years and years and you're going to drink all of my father's knowledge because I can't do it. I can't do it. I wish I could sit down with my father and learn with him the way I used to learn with him. But I can't. I'm stuck. You're going to do it, Ephraim. And Menashe, what was Menashe? Menashe was the advisor. Menashe was Yosef's advisor. Menashe was Joseph's right-hand man. Menashe was the one, so to say, he was like the gabbai in the shul. He was oisik b'tzarchet tzibur. He was the one that was making everything work. And he was helping everybody out. He was also a Talmid Chacham. But when it comes to giving the bracha, what does Yaakov do? Sikilis yada. He goes, wait a minute. Ephraim is the one sitting and learning. Ephraim has dedicated his life day and night to sit and learn with me. Menashe is extremely important in this equation. Menashe is literally like the Kohen. He's like the Kohen Gadol serving God. But at the end of the day, I have to put my right hand at the one who's sitting and learning, even though he's younger. Even though he's younger. You look at the Beis HaMikdash. You look at the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash was a similar way. The Kohen, where did he serve? He served outside. You bought a carbon, it was outside. You bought Ketores, it was inside. The menorah was inside. But you know what was deeply inside? What was all the way inside in the Kodesh HaKodashim? It was the Aron Brit. What was inside the Aron? Inside the ark, there was the Torah there. The Torah is the closest thing to God. And when a person sits and learns, he's fusing himself with God. Kutshabrichu ve'oraisa ve'Yisroel chatu. Kutshabrichu, God, ve'oraisa and His Torah are one. When you learn Torah, you become one with God. And therefore, the right hand had to go on Ephraim. Even though Menashe was so powerful and so effective in so many ways and held his status, absolutely held his status. The Kohen, Aaron the Kohen was great. But Moshe Rabbeinu that represented the Torah, say, perhaps he was a step above. And therefore, Ephraim gets the better end of the deal. But, what does it say about Zvulun? Zvulun, it says also, Semach Zvulun b'tzeisecha v'yisachar be'olecha. There are times that we see Moshe Rabbeinu putting Zvulun first. Zvulun is the supporter. And at times we see he comes first. Semach Zvulun b'tzeisecha. Why is Zvulun coming first? Why isn't he coming second, after the learner? So listen to the Zohar. The Zohar Kodesh says, Al de'afik pito mipume, because he takes out the pito, he takes out the bread from his mouth. Ve'yoeh pito li'isachar. And he ends up giving the pita, he ends up giving the bread. He takes bread from his own mouth, from his own family. And he ends up giving it to Yisachar, to the guy who was sitting and learning. That, says the Zohar HaKadosh, makes them partners, that they both become equal. The supporter and the one who's learning becomes equal. Now, I want to tell you that is so important. You don't know why. Because the Gemara, it's a Gemara in Ksubas. The Gemara in Ksubas tells us something very, very powerful and scary also. A little bit scary. The Gemara says like this. Omar Rabbi Lezer, Ame arotzeis einam chayim. The ones who don't learn, they're not alive. Which means to say, they're not going to get resurrected at the time of Tchias HaMesim. They won't be resurrected. Shenemar, how do we know this? Because it says, everything's got to go relate back to a pasuk. Mesim bal yichyu. They died and they're not going to live. They died and they're not going to live. Tani nami hachi, the Gemara says another pasuk to substantiate this. Mesim bal yichyu. The dead ones are not going to live. Yochol akol. You may think this refers to everybody. The Gemara says, Talmud Lama Rifayim Bal Yakumu. Only the Rifayim. What's Rifayim? B'mar pe'atzma medivrei Torah. Someone who is laxed in the study of Torah. Meaning to say, a person that wants to get up in Tchias HaMesim, if the person doesn't want to live inside the grave forever and ever, he's got to study Torah. If he doesn't study Torah, he's there forever and ever. That's it. You know the famous story, somebody came to the Vilna Gaon, and they asked the Vilna Gaon, he said, you know, we don't understand this. We buried our father in the town cemetery. They charged us double the price. Last week they had a person that died. They charged him half the price. It's a chutzpah. What did they do that for? So the Vilna Gaon was not politically correct. He wasn't he was a straight shooter. So he told him, listen, you have to understand something very simple. The other guy studied a lot of Torah. This is only temporary. He's going to get up at Tchias HaMesim. This is not a permanent home. Your father, he's here forever. That's it. He ain't getting up. It's pretty crude, right? Straight to the point. Not something that everybody likes to hear, but this is what he answered him. So the Gemara tells us this. The Gemara says this is facts. So Omar le Rabbi Yochanan lo nichol lemari. So Rabbi Yochanan says, you know, I don't like how you're talking. You know why? Because there's so many Jews out there, so many beautiful Jews that don't study Torah. You tell me all of them are not getting up? All the Jews are not getting, only the ones who are studying? He says, you know, I don't like that. So he says, wait a minute. He says, I want to tell you. Omalei, Rebbe, Motzosilam Takonim in Torah. He says, Rebbe, I want you to calm down. Because really, even those people that don't learn have a chance. What's their chance? The Pasuk says, V'atem adveikim b'Hashem Elokeichem chayim kulchem hayoim. If you cling to God, everybody's going to be alive. Those who cling to God are going to be alive. So the Gemara asks, what do you mean clinging to God? Could I cling to the Shechina? Could I cling to the divine presence of God? But it says God is like a fiery, he's a ball of fire. You can't get close to fire. How could I get close to God? How could I attach myself to God? So he answers. He says, I'll tell you how. If you let your daughter get married to a son of a Talmid Chacham, and you do business with Talmid Chacham, mean to say you take their money and you invest it in a way that they could make money. And and you let a Talmid Chacham enjoy from what you have, then the pasuk tells us it's as though he clinged to the Shekhinah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something very, very important. A person wants to know, how is he going to get up at Tchias HaMesim? How is he going to get up at the time of the resurrection of the dead? He has to have some kind of shaykhus, some kind of relationship to Torah. Either he learns Torah or supports Torah, as it says, Tal Torah Mechayeu. The dew of Torah will resurrect the person. Which means to say, if a person doesn't have that, then he's there forever. He's there forever. And this is what the pasuk tells us. The pasuk tells us, Eitz Chaim Hila Machazikim Bo. It's going to be a tree of life to those who hold on to the Torah. V'tomcheo me'ushar. Those who support Torah are going to have such extreme happiness. But if you look at the word tomcheho, what's tomcheho? Tomech means to support. What's tomcheho? Tomcheho means you're supporting you're supporting God, so to say. If you support Torah, you're supporting God. And therefore, a person has to always remember, either you're a learner or you're a supporter. There's no in between. A person can't say, I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that. We all want to get up in Tchias HaMesim. We all want to be resurrected. Remember, put into your head, I'm either going to be a supporter or I'm going to be a learner. One of the two. But not to have any, a person's in trouble. Person's in trouble. And therefore today, there are many, many koilim that a person could give a set amount. I know many people that do that. And the truth is, I try to do it myself because I know I don't learn all the time. So I try to do it myself too. What do? You take a guy, one guy in kollel, and you support the guy. Support him. Send him every month. Why? Because you're guaranteed that even if you're not able to do it, if you're not able to learn, at least you have that guarantee in place. We'll finish with this. The Gemara says that if you're telling me that only through Torah, you have to have a relationship to Torah, and that's the only way to get to Gan Eden, that's the only way to get resurrected, so the Gemara asks a simple question. Nashi b'mai zachyon. What about women? Women don't have the mitzvah of learning Torah. So how are they going to get resurrected? The Gemara has a question. I know the facts. The fact is, you have to have either Torah or supporting Torah. So what do women do now? They don't have that mitzvah. So the Gemara answers that when they by waiting for their husbands to come home from learning, and by waiting for their children to come home from yeshiva, that's how they gain their access to guarantee them that they'll be resurrected. That's their guarantee. That's what the Gemara says. The Gemara in Pesachim, it's a Yerushalmi. The Gemara says that Rabbi Kiva used to collect every year for his yeshiva. He used to go around and he used to collect money for his yeshiva. One year, he comes to a house of a rich person, and he's ready to knock on the door, but he hears the father telling the son, listen, go buy fruits, but go buy second-grade fruits. Don't buy grade A. We're saving money. Rabbi Kiva hears this. He's eavesdropping. He overhears this. He says to his partner who's collecting, he says, wow, the guy probably lost a lot of money. Forget it. Let's skip the house. I'm not going to bother him this year. And he goes collecting around the town, and by the end he says he feels bad. I got to at least say hello to him. He's been so loyal to us, but I feel bad. He's going to feel obligated. Well, I don't know what to do now. I'm torn. They decide they're going to go see the rich man, but they're going to tell him he doesn't have to give. So they go see him, the Gemara in Pesachim. They go see this rich man, and the rich man opens the door. He walks in, he says, Rabbi Kiva, I was always your number one stop. What happened? How come you disregarded me this year? So Rabbi Akiva says, I feel bad, I wasn't supposed to do this, but I eavesdropped on a conversation. I heard that you're instructing your son to buy over here and to buy the discounted stuff over there, and it wasn't befitting you. You're such a rich man, right? It's like asking, who knows, like a Donald Trump, he's pulling out coupons now. Oh, are you kidding me? What are you pulling out the coupons? So the rich man tells him, no, you don't understand. The reason I did this is because this way I could give you a bigger sum this year. We sat down with the family and we decided, what's better? Should I have Torah or should I have an extra piece of meat on my table? What should we do? And we all came to this conclusion. But it wasn't because I made any less money, but because I wanted to give you more. Rabbi Akiva says, wow, look at how the Jews act. Look how they understand what the reward is for Torah. For eternity, a person is going to enjoy. It says that a person that supports, they will be divided, the Torah will be divided, meaning to say they will both gain. Which means to say, the supporter will be granted a gift as though he learned all the Gemara that the one who is learning learned. So you give, let's say, whatever you give to that individual, right? All of a sudden, this guy's learning Bava Metzia, all of a sudden you know it. Like they download it into your brain, up in Shemaim, and you're able to converse with them in learning. Amazing. So the Gemara tells us, it gives us a shortcut, the Gemara. We could either be the learner or the supporter with that shortcut. A couple of $100 gets us eternity beyond belief. Beyond belief. So I want to tell you, I want to leave you off that always remember throughout your lives, never forget this for a moment. Either you're a supporter or a learner. And even Zvulun, even if you're a supporter, take out every day a half hour. It's not going to kill anybody, right? You shut off Facebook for a little bit. It's a therapeutic, believe me. Shut off Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all the social media and the regular media. You shut it off, you won't miss a thing in life, believe me. Nothing you'll miss. And you put down a half hour of Torah, you've gained yourself eternity. Thank you for listening. And I wish everyone, Be'ezrat Hashem, a wonderful Shabbos coming up. Thank you.